This is the electoral map of the United States from the presidential elections of 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020. Do you notice any common patterns across these election years? Voters who support the Democratic Party, marked in blue, tend to be concentrated in coastal areas, major urban centers, the Northeast, and the West Coast. On the other hand, voters who support the Republican Party, marked in red, are primarily found in rural areas, the suburbs, the South, and the Midwest. We can clearly see that there is a distinct geographical distribution of voters for the Democratic and Republican parties. But what does this say about the cultural, economic, and social landscapes of these regions? In today's video, we're going to explore this question in depth. The United States has two major political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, also called the GOP for Grand Old Party. The people who belong to or support these parties are called Democrats and Republicans. Each political party is known by its color. The Democratic Party's color is blue, while the Republican Party's color is red. Candidates that represent these parties often wear these colors on important days, such as Election Day. Each party also has an animal symbol. The Democratic symbol is a donkey, whereas the Republican symbol is an elephant. The U.S. parties are known as left or right-leaning. The Democratic Party is left-leaning or liberal, which means they value progress and equality. In comparison, the Republican Party is right-leaning or conservative, which means they respect tradition and believe in limited government. Voters that support these parties tend to have different priorities and ideals. The Democratic Party is popular with voters who prioritize community and social responsibility. In contrast, Republican voters tend to prioritize individual rights and the free market. The party platforms have a different stance on gay marriage, abortion, and gun control, though individual voters do have their own opinions on these personal issues. The two parties are also divided on the issues of immigration, taxes, and environmental policies. Demographics play a crucial role in shaping the voter distribution of the two major parties in the United States. When it comes to age, according to surveys from 2018, 2020, and 2022, younger voters, under 30, tend to support the Democratic Party more, focusing on issues like climate change, free college education, and social justice. In contrast, older voters, especially those aged 65 and above, are more inclined to support the Republican Party, primarily due to concerns over healthcare policies, taxes, and national security. Gender and racial divides in voting are also noteworthy. Male voters are generally more likely to support the Republican Party compared to female voters, who tend to lean more towards the Democratic Party. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans often favor the Democratic Party due to its more lenient immigration policies, particularly in urban areas where these communities are more prominent. On the other hand, the Republican Party receives strong support from white voters. Women of color, including Hispanic women, tend to support the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, white men are more likely to support the Republican Party, with a focus on issues like jobs in the industrial sector and conservative views on family values. Education level is another significant determining factor. Voters with a college degree or higher are more likely to support the Democratic Party, especially in urban areas and coastal states with more developed economies. They typically hold more liberal social and economic views that align with Democratic policies. Voters without a college degree, particularly in rural areas, are more inclined to support the Republican Party. Historical events, cultural heritage, and political traditions of different regions strongly influence voting tendencies and support for either the Democratic or Republican parties. The Southern states, which once upheld slavery and later enforced Jim Crow racial segregation laws, tend to be more conservative and support the Republican Party in modern times. In contrast, the Northern and Western states, which fought against slavery and supported civil rights, are more inclined to support the Democratic Party. Waves of migration and immigration have also significantly impacted voter distribution. Major cities across the country, such as New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, have attracted many immigrants from around the world. These individuals often lean towards the Democratic Party due to its policies on immigration, civil rights, and support for immigrants. Regions with a high concentration of conservative Christians, such as the states in the Bible Belt in the South, typically support the Republican Party because of conservative views on issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, and religious freedom. Conversely, large urban areas and coastal states, which have greater religious diversity and more non-religious voters, tend to support the Democratic Party and its progressive social policies. Areas with a tradition of libertarian culture, where voters value minimal government intervention and personal freedom, often support the Republican Party. On the other hand, regions with more diverse communities and a stronger emphasis on community values tend to support the Democratic Party. Economic and social factors, such as income, occupation, economic inequality, and social welfare, play crucial roles in shaping voting trends and the distribution of voters between the two major parties in the United States. Urban areas typically have more developed economies with numerous job opportunities in high-tech industries, finance, education, and services. This environment attracts younger, more educated, and often more liberal voters who tend to support the Democratic Party. In contrast, rural areas and states with economies based on agriculture and traditional industries often support the Republican Party, due to a focus on conservative traditional values and economic policies that protect traditional industries and minimize government intervention in the free market. In regions with aging populations, or where residents heavily rely on social welfare programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, voters tend to support the Democratic Party because of its commitment to protecting and expanding social welfare programs. Conversely, voters in areas where private healthcare and free market measures are prioritized tend to support the Republican Party. The media ecosystem, from traditional media like newspapers and television to social media platforms and news websites, significantly influences how voters access and understand political issues. Traditional media channels like CNN, Fox News, The New York Times, and The Washington Post have a substantial impact on shaping the political leanings of voters. For instance, Fox News tends to support conservative views and the Republican Party, while CNN and The New York Times are often seen as leaning more liberal and supporting the Democratic Party. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok are increasingly becoming primary sources of information for many voters, especially the younger demographic. These platforms not only provide information from various sources, but also allow for sharing personal opinions and fostering political discussions. However, they are also venues where fake news and misinformation can easily spread. In addition to the states we typically assume will predominantly support either the Democratic or Republican parties, swing states are those where voters are not loyal to any one party and can swing between the two parties across different elections. Virginia, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio are prime examples. Some red states have remained loyal to the Republican Party for over 40 years, and some blue states have consistently voted for the Democratic Party in the past 9 elections. In comparison, Florida has switched parties 4 times during the same period, as has Ohio. Swing states are always the focal point of presidential campaigns, as even a small shift in voter support can change the final outcome. The 2024 election promises to be an intense and unpredictable race. The factors we've discussed, such as the economy, demographics, media, and social issues, will continue to shape voter perspectives in specific regions. In this context, the swing states will play the most crucial role in determining the final outcome. What about you? Which party do you think will win and lead the United States for the next 4 years? Does your belief align with what we've analyzed? Leave a comment below the video and share your thoughts on this year's election. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Let's hope for a successful election and a prosperous future for the United States. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.